All right, well, good afternoon, guys. Quick little update on the reloading room tour. Now, I say this is an update. I haven't released any video on this. What I've done, I've got a couple of videos shot, but I haven't edited them, and we may go back, we may not. It was the very early planning stages of this. We've been remodeling the whole shop, and what I've done is I've taken my main workbench, which is down here in front of me, that I've worked on for years. You've seen this bench before. This has been my primary gun working bench, gunsmithing bench that I've used. And we've taken it and all of my reloading room and we've combined them in its own little room. So we've gone through and redone the roof, insulated, and been hanging sheetrock. I still got some more to do. I still got some more sheetrock work to do on the ceiling and a few little places. And there's always lots to be done. I'm not going to get too carried away about finishing this room out. This is not my forever reloading room, but this should make it a whole lot easier to work on my own gun projects, plus do my reloading stuff here. So it's all easily accessible. Now, I've taken as much space as I realistically could and partitioned it off for this particular hobby type of thing. I'm going to run out of space. You know, we've seen my crappy little shop that's way packed too full of equipment and stuff. So, world of compromise. You know, everybody talks about the ultimate reloading room they built and everything. I haven't seen the ultimate reloading room yet, and the best one I heard was somebody saying they'd built the ultimate reloading room for their needs, and that's probably the best description I've heard about a reloading room being given. I've got some very definite ideas about what I think is best for your reloading room and things like that. I'll probably share some of those as we go along. This is my best practices after reloading for years and years, and same way with gun work. I'm working off of the same bench. I've got basically the same layout. There's some changes to it because it's not conducive to have it set up exactly like I had. I was very happy with the way I had it. Worked off of that for 30 plus years type of thing, so it's laid out very nicely. So anyway, behind you is the other bench that you've seen it too. This is very much like this bench here, other than it's got a backer board on it, and I've got all my tools hung in it. That's one I used at a remote location that I had for a while. So anyway, standard bench, laid out pretty much the way it has. I've got crap on top yet that I haven't found a home for, and everything in here is going to be subject to change. There's a few things that are already set in stone, but for the most part, it's going to get reorganized. I'm going to get as much in here as efficiently as I can for my workflow, and then I'll have to, everything else is going to be stored other places. So I'll just give you a quick little tour. Here's the main bench. We're coming out of the main portion of the shop to will be my left over here, your right, you know, however you want to look at it. Anyway, you're coming in to my bench. The other bench is back behind, and I'm not going to turn the camera around that far to show it. It's still a mess. I've got it stacked full of crap, and still got crap stacked everywhere. Anyway, if we move on around, you can look back there. There are two Dillon 550s back on the bench back here, and they're going to be mounted about here. You go to this side, and these four lubricizers are not permanently mounted. Now, a lot of this stuff is not going to be permanently mounted because I just don't have the space. So they're temporarily set here. They're going to get stored away, whether it's on shelves under the bench, whether they get racked on the valuable wall space, because I don't have that much of it. I don't know yet. But anyway, those lubricizers will find a home, and I'll show you where we're going to mount this stuff temporarily when I want to use it. So in a minute here. So anyway, my two Dillon primer pocket swagers are hung underneath. Both of those have got my conversions on them. One of them's a real early conversion. The other one's the one that I still offer now. Up above it is casting stuff. Hand bullet molds for the most part on that shelf. The second shelf is everything pretty much for the Magma Master Caster. Bullet lubes on up on the next one, and more hand molds. And there's a few, my preference is Seiko molds. Now, I think this is probably, and there's two of these here. These are 4-cavity Seiko molds for 200 grain semi-wad cutter 45 cal stuff. I've got two of these. I can produce bullets just as fast with this, and maybe even a little bit faster than I can out of the Master Caster. So it depends on how I feel when I am casting, whether I'm hand casting or whether I'm casting out of the Master Caster. And up on the top is just some more molds, ingot molds, lubes and fluxes. There's a little bit of lemon shine up there for tumbling, just because I set it up there, don't have a home for it yet. And then my electrochemical etching machine is up here. Haven't mounted the Fordham yet, it's still hung there. And I've got a little cheapy parts washer down here that I'm going to use for, I'm going to put solvent in, I'm going to use it for in this room, stuff I do in this room, reloading dies, any gun stuff that I'm working on for my projects and things like that. So anyway, the two Dillons are there. If we go down under the bench, if we can go down under the bench, I don't think we can the way this is set up. Let's see here. If we go down under the bench, this stuff is just some reloading manuals. I brought in a stool. Now, I brought my little stool in here because me being a little short guy, I can't reach to the top drawers up there in the cabinets up above on the, when it was out there in the other side, why the floor was a little bit higher, so I could reach to the top by stretching. These I can't reach, so I've got a little stool here. My parts cabinet with all the gun parts that I won't say all, but a lot of the gun parts that I had, my primary drawers are down here. It may be out of view, but it's underneath these lubricizers and this solvent tank. But it's got that storage. Down on the end, there's a early Lyman or Ideal casting pot that I'd converted to a PID control, and underneath that is the lubricant for the Littleton Shopmaker. And Littleton Shopmaker set right here next to it, and next to it is a master caster. Both of those are going to go on dedicated mobile stands. I'll build stands for those as we go along because I don't have room. Ideally, I would like to mount it on this side of the bench, right in front of the window. I could have vented it right there and exhausted it and used them right there, but I just don't have the space. So they'll get put on mobile benches, and we'll probably show that as we go along, get that far. And then I've got my big 50 BMG press and swaging press, both of them there. That's pretty much what's underneath. All of my benches, I put a rail. This is a 1/8 by 1 aluminum that's just drilled and countersunk. I've got it screwed into the bench itself with some spacers back, which I just used washers. That way you can take an acro bin and hang them there. So I'll do that all the way around. I don't have it on this side of the bench yet because the bench is going to get cut out, and I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, I've done that for years too. That works really well. If we go to the other side of the bench and bring it up a little bit, let's see where we're at here. Start while we're up a little more. We go clear to the back. This is a Star lubricizer. Got my bullet feeder on it. There again, it's just set here temporarily. It's going to be one. I would have liked it mounted solid. I just don't have the room for it. Die rack in the back. That's the well, I won't say that's the majority of my dies. That's probably 75% of my dies are in that rack. Dillon tool heads are back behind. And there's, what, 6 with powder measures. 3 more with small lead powder measures, and I think there's 3 or 4 more back there. There again, don't have a home, probably going to shelve them up a little bit. I don't have any of my books in here other than what I've got on top of that rack. I've got a few of the reloading manuals, but I don't have any of my gun reference manuals, and I don't have the rest of my reloading manuals. Part of them are probably going to go on shelf back behind up here, I'm guessing, just because I really don't have any place else to put them. So they're probably going to go up there. We come on down, on the back wall we've got the little cabinet that holds patches, primarily patches, cleaning stuff mostly. And it's the one, when I had the bench out there, it hung on the wall on that end of the bench and was mounted to the wall. Don't have room for it here. So I actually relieved the shelf on this side so that I can open the lid on the solvent tank. So I've got that, a little mini cutoff saw for cutting off 300 blackout brass, or 223 brass to convert it to 300 blackout. There's a Lyman T-Mag press back behind. It's just set there. I've got a couple of the presses that have got to come out too, but I don't have a home for them yet. Give you a little bit better view. of the other side of this bench here. So there's 3 Hornady 366s. 2 of those have got my conversions on. I think one of them was, or maybe the first one I converted with a factory Hornady conversion, and then they no longer offered them. So I started building conversions, which I haven't done for a while. Those are probably going to come back because I've got a few other Hornady things I want to work on. But anyway, got 3 Hornady 366s. They're going to be permanently mounted there. Probably not quite yet though. These are original Hornady risers with this I-beam, aluminum I-beam underneath. And that was the first set of risers that I bought. I bought another set of risers later on when I got the second Hornady, and all they are is a plastic pipe of some sort as a spacer, 3 inches tall. They work fine. I don't like them as well, which is why you don't see them underneath there. I've already sourced the I-beam, aluminum I-beam, so I've got to get some of that ordered, and we'll build some I-beam extrusions underneath them. Once they're mounted, the way they operate is your loaded round drops out of this hole in the back, and there's a chute they fall out. When I had it back in the other reloading room, I had them set up to where I had a little tray that just slid in underneath, and it routed them down and out. What I'm going to do on this is all 3D print a prototype, make sure I get it right, and we'll just funnel them into a hole that will drop right down through the bench and into one of the larger acro bins that will mount underneath. So we'll get three of those mounted. So I've got to work around those. Underneath all these benches, this will all change. Down on this end, see, do we have you low enough to see that stuff? Okay, so clear down on the end is my wet tumbler. It's there again, it'll probably go on a mobile base too, or a mobile stand, and I'll have storage for the RCBS container to drain the pins out and all that stuff. Hold the dehydrator to dry brass and all that good stuff. So that'll come down the road. It's just stuck there for now. These tubs have got either brass or bullets in them. It'll be my cast bullets, and there's no 9mm there, but these are all my cast bullets here, and there's, I know they're out of the way, but there's 45. These are 165s, 165 45s, and they were the hot IPSC bullet for a while back in the day when we were still shooting 45. And there's 230 round nose. There's some 200 grain semi-wad cutters, which was my primary IPSC load. This is all brass, different brasses. Part of this stuff will get combined in other containers because I see I've got 380 brass here and 380 brass down there, super brass here and super brass there, and things like that. So that will get combined. These are just parts and accessories that came out of the shop itself, out of the gun portion, or the retail part of the shop. I've been sorting through their bases, rings, a bunch of stuff there. And then I've got some other brass, and I've got bullets tucked down in one of the my small count bullets for rifles and things like that. Primarily are down in one of these when I broke them down out of the other tub. So on up on this end, this is primarily precision stuff, or it's normal reloading stuff, but a lot of my precision stuff, and it's a mess. I haven't organized any of it. Case trimmers and stuff up above. Both my Lyman's, or my Wilson trimmer, there's a couple of Wilson trimmers in there, one for normal calibers, one for 50 BMG, funnels, trimmers, tricklers, just everything, A lot of it's precision stuff up there. I keep a RCBS 1010 scale here that I use to verify. It's an old mechanical scale. I like it. I've got a Hornady trickler down here, a Hornady scale and trickler down here. I don't 100% trust the electronic stuff. I mean, it's fine, and once you start loading with it. When I first started with electronic stuff, I bought a RCBS electronic scale, and it would not hold zero. It would not. I think it's still in the back. I haven't moved it up here yet, but it's probably going in the trash because it's junk. RCBS Rock Chucker. This is the primary scale or press I use for anything I'm single staging. I will run off of that RCBS, and there again, it'll get the rail run across the front. But I've got to get another piece of material for one thing, And the other thing is, it's not going to run full length, because where the space between Hornady's and here, and I don't know exactly how big, I'm going to drill and tap a steel plate to match all of the risers that I've got underneath, lubricizers, presses, whatever. I've pretty much standardized this whole pattern. It is a standardized, although I think I found one that was oddball. But I will set it up to where I'm going to put a steel plate in there, and I'll just be able to bolt these on here. So if I switch to a lubricizer, all I got to do is bolt it on with either thumb nuts or, you know, hand knobs, or bolt them down, whatever I decide is most convenient for that. So I can put lubricizers. This is, well, this is an old Pacific press that I put my Dillon trimmer on, and I've modified it specifically for this. We did a video on this, or a series of videos, I don't remember now, but anyway, on that trimmer setup. So this will all get changed. Part of these, like over these tubs and a lot of stuff, will just be drawers. Part of them will have at least one shelf and maybe some drawers in it. Shelves will go in there because the parts cabinets, like I've got up above the reloading bench, why, if you've looked at my earlier reloading room videos, you've seen those trays underneath one array of benches. It's parts and accessories for Wilson trimmers, RCBS components for die components, things like that. Just a variety. There's 6 or 8, 10 of those 5-drawer cabinets that will have to go underneath here, and the rest of them will probably get just tempered hardboard doors like I had on the back. I think I can reuse them. I will put a little riser shelf on the bottom so that everything's not sitting right on the concrete, which allows me to get things up off the concrete, but it also allows me to have tracks for doors underneath. So we'll do that. The 50 BMG press, it will mount out here too on a steel plate. So I'm going to put a substantial steel plate up here to mount accessories on, and I will probably put some, well, I know I will, I'm going to put another steel plate down underneath to bolt especially that press onto. So I'll put it on a little wheeled cart since it's so heavy. That way I can roll it right out here and just have to lift it up onto the thing, and then it will stow back underneath the bench. Whether it stows underneath the narrower bench at the back, whether it stows underneath the bench here, I don't really know. That'll all work itself out as we go along here. So anyway, that's kind of the layout and the reasoning behind everything. Going to be a work in progress. So anyway, hopefully you find something you can utilize in your own shop. So comment, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.